Telikom slashes internet rates by 50%. Celebrations marking World Earth Day. And medical ship YWAM extends services in the southern region.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
This is Wednesday's news. Good evening and thanks for your company. In a bid to remain competitive, Telikom PNG has lowered its internet rates by 50% as of today. Telikom PNG's implementation of new technology has been the driving force that has contributed to the low rates. The reduced rates are part of the government's aim to reduce internet costs in the country.
Broadband service that
In a news conference this morning, Telikom PNG announced a 50% reduction for its prepaid and postpaid internet plans. Telikom PNG Marketing and Business Development Divisional Manager Xavier Victor said the company responded in a bid to remain competitive in the internet retail market.
Responded by way of reducing or restructuring our wholesale rates in 2014, which is already available for all our ISPs.
Telikom PNG continues to roll out new innovative technology which has reduced internet rates. The ultra broadband service using the ADSL 2+ technology ensures customers enjoy faster internet access. Currently, Telikom PNG has 5 internet bundle plans, which include prepaid internet plans, home internet, Blazer, school and Velocity internet plans. Also, the telecommunications company believes that come July, customers will be able to share the experience of the 2015 Pacific Games with the rest of the world through lower internet rates. Bridget Komatep, National EMTV News.
Earth Day is an annual event celebrated worldwide on April 22nd. Events are held in close to 200 countries to demonstrate support for Mother Nature. The message of Earth Day 2015 is that good stewardship is an agenda that we all can get behind.
At the National Library today on Earth Day, school children heard many stories that illustrate that humans have not always taken care of Mother Nature. The concerns of pollution, global warming and climate change are no bedtime stories. But the involvement of the younger generation in the awareness and education of these global issues is crucial for the future of the planet. Melanie Higgins, United States Acting Ambassador to PNG, said when it comes to the environment, we don't have much time. She said the U.S. government was committed to ensuring a cleaner earth, and this is backed by President Barack Obama's announcement to decrease by 26% the amount of greenhouse gas emissions from the United States. According to an organization called EcoCycle, in the past 50 years, humans have consumed more natural resources than in all previous history combined. Between 1905 and 2005, global oil consumption grew 8-fold, production of metals increased by 600%, and natural resource extraction grew by 50%. Because of humans' increased burning of fossil fuel, there is now more carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere than at any other time in the last 800,000 years. Increased carbon has the driving force behind global warming, which affects nearly every ecosystem, large and small. Scientists say it's now time we clean up our act. So if everyone did their bit by recycling or consciously disposing of their rubbish properly, these small actions can make better the world in a time when the environment could use a helping hand. Delhi Bagu, National EMTV News.
The new youth with a mission medical ship, YWAM, will extend its medical service delivery to the people living along the coastal areas of Papua New Guinea for 9 months. Patron Sir Rabin Namaliu said medical officers on board will be conducting medical operations in these areas through the existing health facilities. At its commissioning yesterday, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill announced the government's prerogatives to assist with health supplies and facilities in these areas. Our reporter Eric Harupman was on board YWAM and spoke to the medical officers about their mission.
Youth with a Mission, a volunteer church-run organization, will continue to provide medical services through its medical ship YWAM. PNG patron of YWAM, Sir Rabin Namaliu, said this YWAM medical ship program has been providing medical services to areas in the Gulf and Western provinces only since 2009.
Central, Milne Bay, Oro, and for the first time in Mamase, in Morobe province. So in order to fulfill that program or that expansion, obviously it was necessary to look at the option of purchasing a bigger ship with a bigger capacity that can cover the whole of the southern region as well as Yuan Gulf, mainly the Yuan Gulf of Morobe.
Through this program, healthcare programs like immunization, dental checkups, and treating pregnant mothers, eye testing and surgical operations were conducted in health facilities in these areas.
This has a very, special sister-city relationship with the capital of the Morobe province. That we've now got a community ambassador we've set up in Cairns, where there's a very high proportion of Papua New Guinean people living. And that's about people to people. That's about helping each other. It's about having, good Christian and moral and ethical values and being able to help each other.
However, while seeing the need for many people in other areas affected by health problems, it has expanded its services to areas along the coast of Central, Milne Bay and Morobe provinces, especially Yuan Gulf.
And the perseverance you see of the people in really, really difficult circumstances, living amongst the mud quite literally because they come from the Gulf or the Western Province where there's a lot of mud, or perhaps they're from a very remote island in Milne Bay, yet they manage to stand strong every day and continue to fight for what they believe is right and continue to go after healthcare.
At its first commissioning ceremony yesterday, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill announced that the government will provide additional funding and support through health supplies and its facilities. O'Neill said this is part of the government's continued support to strengthening relationship with churches, NGOs and developing partners through health services in the country.
So this is an example of one of those partnerships that we would like to continue to build on. So over the last 3 or 4 years, we've been able to fully fund the 10-year national health plan that we have introduced in this country 4 or 5 years ago. Close to 2 billion kina a year out of our national budget goes to health funding in the country.
This is in line with the country's National Millennium Goals, 10 years National Health Plan and PNG Australia Development Partnership Program. The YWAM medical chief arrived at the wee hours of Tuesday morning, received its official commissioning yesterday and will be servicing the people of PNG for 6 months before returning overseas. This ceremony is witnessed by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, developing partners, stakeholders concerned and government officials. Eric Arupma, National MTV News.
Over the last 12 months, we've covered stories about the rising cost of living in Lae City. Tonight, MTV's Bethany Harriman takes another look at the factors driving Papua New Guineans into low-cost accommodation in settlements that are fast expanding.
An increasing amount of Papua New Guinean professionals and their families are now living in rental homes near Lae City settlements known for their high number of petty crimes. Vea Stephen is a customs officer and the wife of a Papua New Guinean electrician. She says living near a settlement means constant fear for the family's safety, but the search for a cheaper place to live has brought them to this house.
Standard of living and accommodation on the map, it's a very big problem now. So me choosing this law on the map up where me and a family me can afford low payment and it's really affordable for me.
The fear that families describe when walking along streets that share boundaries with settlements is menacing for women and girls. Over the last 12 months, many Lae residents have called on the government to regulate the industry. The issue of the high cost of housing rental has drawn political attention. On the 10th of this month, Housing Minister Paul Ezekiel said the government won't regulate the industry. Instead, they will bring in investors to build more homes and dilute the market.
You will find that the real estate prices will naturally drop on the long run.
The cost of renting a residential home in one of Lae's prime suburbs in town, Eriko and Market, has exceeded the amount of income that a Papua New Guinea receives fortnightly. According to real estate agents, the average rental price was at 3,000 kina per month. Compared to 5 years ago, the average rental price was at 1,500 kina per month. Now, the 50% increase has been due to economic growth, fueled by Morobe's mining sector. Bethany Harriman, National MTV News, Lae.
As debate over the recent poultry ban intensifies, work being done by the National Agriculture Research Institute on cheaper alternative animal feeds has again come to the fore. Dr. Pika Kohun from Nari has been working with a team of researchers to develop concentrates that can be combined with cacao, cassava and coconut to produce feeds that can cut costs by 25%. MTV Scott Wider reports from Lae.
For Dr. Pika Kohun, finding a solution to high livestock feed costs is key to bringing down the price of chicken, pork and farmed fish in Papua New Guinea. After several years of trials, they've created formulas for concentrate that can be added to locally grown food like cassava and cacao.
2002, we started to become serious in looking at alternative ways of feeding animals and coming up with strategies for developing a sort of an intermediate lower cost feed based on primarily on sweet potato and cassava and using some of the byproducts that we have locally: fish meal, copra meal, wheat meal run, palm kernel cake, that sort of thing.
The method reduces costs by up to a quarter, allowing smallholder farmers to increase profits or reduce prices if they choose.
In the process, we've introduced this concept of the mini feed mills. They've come into this research work to enhance the ability of smallholder communities, farming groups, away from where the main feed mills are, the ability to be able to produce their own feed using the sweet potato or the cassava that they can grow locally and mixing that with a number of concentrates that we have developed.
In Lae at the Nari Livestock Research Center, local food and concentrate manufactured in Lae are made into feed pellets for chickens, fish and other livestock. This is an operation Nari wants to see expanded to other parts of Papua New Guinea. A key point in the debate over the poultry ban imposed by the government on Australian chicken is that the cost of locally produced chicken is extremely high. Now, the key factor is that even though the feed is locally produced in Lae, the ingredients come from overseas. Now, coupled with freight, the end result is an expensive product. Scott Wider, National MTV News, Lae.
The president of the Poultry Industry Association, Stanley Lae, has thrown his support behind the government's call to ban all imported poultry products. He said Papua New Guinea's biosecurity policies are weak and can't prevent large-scale avian disease outbreaks. Mr. Lae's comments comes after concerns raised by the Agriculture Minister, Tommy Tomskol, who announced a ban on imported poultry products.
We frankly do not have the same level of technical or financial capacity to deal, that is whether that's on a government level or on an industry level, to deal with a large-scale virulent disease outbreak. And it is therefore paramount that just as Australia, New Zealand and Fiji, for example, implement strict biosecurity protocols on their borders to ensure that a disease outbreak does not happen, we need to do the same thing.
Still to come on National MTV News tonight, wellhead landowners of Angora in Hela Province bring developments into their area. That story and more when we come back. Stay with us. Good to have you back with National MTV News. With the establishment of the Angora Special Purpose Authority, our priority now is the development of the Angora Growth Centre. The centre will be developed into a township to drive forward the development agenda of the local people. Wellhead landowners see this as an alternative as there's little to no presence of government services in their communities.
Despite being identified as a prospect site for the drilling of oil and gas, wellhead landowners in the higher Puga local level government are calling for services. Basic services such as health and roads are a major concern for the locals. And with the swearing in of the Angora Special Purpose Authority members recently, local leaders want authority representatives to work together for the people. The Angora SPA is now determined to develop the Angora Growth Center, an urban township with approvals given by the Lands and Physical Board last week. The Angora people have untapped wellheads, and with more drilling in the years to come, the people want paper land owners not to intervene with the authorities' plans. They want to see services as people have suffered enough. Jack Lapave Jr., National MTV News.
District and provincial development funds should be invested into upskilling community health workers in districts. This was a common concern raised by health workers from Central Province attending training on sexual and reproductive health. A week-long training is underway in Kwikila in the Rigo district of Central Province. More than 20 health workers are attending this training, hosted by Child Fund PNG and facilitated by the Department of Health.
Training facilitator Mary Daniel is one who has been providing counseling for HIV testing and treatment for a number of years now. She says district and provincial governments should provide more support in upskilling health workers.
With having their money, the district funds available to support such program, and with these NGOs coming to support, it's good in private partnership with the department, but also I'd also would like to see that from the provincial level, for the provincial government to take initiative in such training to really, provide good facilities for our rural facilities out there too.
The training comes under one of Child Fund's Sexual and Reproductive Health Program. The program targets sexual reproductive health issues that affect youths in Central Province.
Sensitized our health workers on basic counseling skills, so when they have been confronted by survivors, anybody who has been sexually abused, they have been raped or exploited or anything, the health workers will be able to manage and treat those.
Attendees find the training useful because it will help them attend to patients who are victims of sexual violence and also better understanding of how to attend to HIV/AIDS patients.
It's not restricted to health workers only, but we just appealing to the churches and our stakeholders, NGOs, where they are. I think we should work together and to bring our people, make their provide that kind of information, HIV/AIDS information to our people.
For many, attending this training is a refresher that is way overdue, and they are asking for more training in the future. Even though the training is about counseling and gender-based violence, Child Fund says it is not about having specialized counselors, but having community health workers who are able to provide that service where they are serving in different remote health clinics. Central Province has 18 testing sites and 4 ART or treatment sites. All participants are from all districts in Central except for Goilala district. Michelle Amba, National MTV News.
Maniamya district in Morobe province continues to embrace government and church partnership programs. Local evangelists say the role of church is a blessing to rural communities as more people benefit through health, education and spiritual programs. Recently, Minister for Youth, Religion and Community Development, Delilah Gore, visited the district to support the work of churches and governments in the area.
Maniamya is a district embarking on mutual partnership between the government and churches. Evangelist Pastor Durang Nathan says most unreached areas are now seeing and experiencing change as churches and government partner to deliver basic services.
Church social media work one time na kind remote place also Maniamya. church I work in big work, maybe like government service I'm slow lately, but church I'm working plenty work block, saving, bringing services, especially the spiritual side.
Minister for Youth, Religion and Community Development Delilah Gore recently visited the district to present a joint funding with the Minyamia MP Benjamin Philip.
So telling to go partner one time churches means government we talk or say you partner will give churches money because churches can bring services faster than the government.
The joint funding between the government and local district totaled 250,000 kina. Minyamia district is placing newfound emphasis on involving youths and women as key agents for change and development in communities.
Now this will by boosting this work blog missions office. Lokarimat one can visit a plan work blog God inside on this region blomipla here.
Minister Gore's visit also concluded with a week-long program for the Morobe Provincial Women's Convention and opening of the ALG Church Mission Office for Minyamia District. Jack Lapawe Jr. National MTV News.
Orion Group, an engineering recruitment specialist through the South Pacific Employment Institute, has started conducting Intel computer literacy training for trainers with basics of computing. Orion South Pacific Employment Institute is the only licensed institution in PNG to conduct all Intel computer literacy training. The two-day training is in line with the government's vision to have a computer literate society.
For those of us who know the basics of computing, it is a luxury we take for granted. But imagine what it must be like for those who know nothing about computing. For them, learning the basics can be the door into another world. The Orion Group, through the South Pacific Employment Institute, formerly the ExxonMobil training facility at Idubada in Port Moresby, is the only licensed training institute in Papua New Guinea to run the Intel Easy Steps computer training. This is the first batch of 30 trainees from different non-government organizations in the country. Master trainer Jacob Antony from India says knowing the basics of computing empowers a person in their day-to-day activities. He says the advantages are greater as PNG has adapted itself to a modernized computer society.
So it is basically a digital literacy program for adult learners with little or no computer experience, teaching them the basics of computer. Basics of computer means internet, email, word processing, spreadsheet, multimedia, and also helping them to use this basic digital literacy in their day-to-day lives.
Nick Smith, the country manager for Orion Group and the director of South Pacific Employment Institute, says currently they are targeting NGO groups, but in the future they hope to involve provincial governments to provide such trainings throughout the country.
Of Intel and the South Pacific Employment Institute is to develop Papua New Guinea to the position where at least one person per household in PNG has a person who is computer literate.
Apart from the Intel training, another program that Orion Group has ventured into is a partnership with the Enga provincial government. Under the arrangement, Orion Group organizes skills training with partner institutions in the Philippines. Bridget Komatep, National MTV News.
A group of women in Lae will benefit from a small to medium enterprise training aimed at advancing small businesses. 23 women in Lae were selected to undergo training to formalize their informal businesses within their respective communities. MTV's Colin Barilai reports.
Susan Sawas is a local business entrepreneur who began selling donuts and running a small tailoring shop. Today she owns a trade store and the business looks promising, she says.
You may sit down and you can look
By the end of the week, she expects to achieve more skills to advance her trade store business. She is part of this group of women who operate small businesses in Lae, like betel nut sales, poultry, tailoring, cooking and crop cultivation.
Because this really training too and by opening, understanding the mind blow me how me can take a loan inside the bank, furthermore, increasing this business plan, a big plan.
The training is supported by the Department of Trade, Commerce and Industry to support women to acquire new ideas to grow small businesses.
As PNG's economy grows, the cost of living in towns and cities also increases. Ordinary Papua New Guineans who do not have a formal job are forced to start small businesses. But over the years, business management skills remained a major challenge for small businesses to flourish.
The 5-day-long training is aimed at promoting and encouraging more women to participate meaningfully in the employment sector.
The course should help them to register properly and comply with the business requirements of taxation.
As the unemployment rate continues to increase, such small to medium enterprise training is vital for ordinary Papua New Guineans. By the end of the week, these women expect to acquire new sets of skills to create new businesses and to maintain their existing ones. Colleen Barilai, National EMTV News, Leh.
And now we take a look at the finance news. The Kina closed 10 points lower at $0.3715 in the interbank market, and at Bank South Pacific, the Kina was fetching $0.364, $0.4684 Australian dollars, €0.3347 euro, and 43.12 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, copper and coffee closed a day higher, cocoa and gold closed lower, while palm oil closed higher and copper and crude oil closed lower. And lastly, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed 85 points lower, the ASX closed at 40 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 36 points lower. Still ahead in the news to come, maritime safety concerns following the death of a fisherman, also the secrets to longevity from the world's oldest person, and later on in the bulletin, an update on the oil search baton relay. Stay with us. Welcome back. Small sea craft users need to follow maritime safety rules and regulations to keep sea travellers safe and prevent accidents from occurring. This message is being stressed by the National Maritime and Safety Authority following reports of a tragic boating accident in Port Moresby which claimed the life of a fisherman.
The fisherman, identified as Mase Boga from Hanuabado village in Port Moresby, went missing last Friday evening while out fishing at Gambo Island when an unidentified dinghy collided into the dinghy he was on. According to the deceased family, a search party led by the family and concerned villagers was unsuccessful until the body was found washed ashore on Fisherman Island yesterday morning.
By a dinghy bumped onto us, got onto our dinghy, and then he was down in the sea. That's all. And then later, I told my sons and my in-laws, they got about 9 dinghies that Friday night searching for him. They searched everywhere, but they didn't find him.
Manager for Maritime Standards and Compliance, Joseph Piawan, said most accidents that occur out at sea are avoidable, provided that skippers and sea travellers are equipped with proper safety gear and training. According to National Maritime Safety Authority, the Small Crafts Act, passed in Parliament last year, requires the setting up of a Small Crafts Administration Office in all 14 maritime provinces, including NCD, to manage all sea crafts measuring less than 10 meters in length.
The skippers of the boat must be, properly qualified, and the right safety equipment must be on board the dinghies when traveling out to sea. And also, the dinghies, when the weather is bad, they should not put the dinghies to sea, because that will put the dinghy in an unseaworthy condition. And also overloading, and people operating the dinghies while under the influence of liquor. So these 3 elements will make the boat unseaworthy to put to sea.
Piawan said with the passing of the Act, the responsibility falls on each provincial government to establish an administration to regulate and train skippers and sea travellers on the necessary safety measures involved when travelling and handling small crafts in open sea.
While smaller maritime provinces like Milne Bay and East New Britain have established their Small Crafts Administration, NCD is yet to set one up. Although NCD is a metropolitan of PNG, thousands of dinghies and sea vessels are used in NCD waters every day by coastal communities like the Motu Koita, Aroma and Rigo.
Papua New Guinea administering all these small boats from the national level is too difficult to do it, but there are a lot of small boats operating in all maritime provinces. So it's best suited for the provincial governments to administer themselves because they know where the boats are operating. So that was one of our major projects we have undertaken within the 8 years. And that is already passed by Parliament. It's already come into operation now.
The boating accident has been reported to police for investigation, and the grieving family want answers for the irresponsible act which they say claimed the life of their loved one. Vanessa Knight, National EMTV News.
2 people have been arrested on suspicion of smuggling migrants to their deaths in the shipwreck on Sunday. Italian prosecutors confirmed yesterday that the captain and a crew member, 27-year-old Mohammed Ali Malek and 25-year-old Mahmoud Bikit, were arrested for causing a shipwreck, suspicion of multiple homicide and facilitating clandestine immigration. The suspects were among 28 confirmed survivors out of an estimated 950 who were fleeing across the Mediterranean to Europe in a critically overloaded boat. Chief Prosecutor Giovanni Salvi said the low number of survivors is because most migrants on board were locked in the lower decks of the 3-deck fishing boat. Both men are in police custody and investigations are ongoing. Now, what is the secret to having a long life? Scientists and health experts will tell you that you need to have a healthy diet, include workouts in your daily agenda, and if you're lucky, you can inherit the genes from someone in your family that lived a long life. But the oldest person in the world has an answer that contradicts what health experts say. She says her faith is her secret. Geraldine Talley is gearing up for a double celebration. She recently became the world's oldest known living person, and on May 23rd, she will celebrate her 116th birthday. Surrounded by her family at her home in the Detroit suburb of Inkster, Talley is still living life to the fullest. She became the world's oldest known living person, according to Gerontology Research Group, which validates the ages of the world's longest living people. Talley credits her faith for her longevity.
Everything comes from above. Yes. Everything just comes from above.
Talley was born in Georgia on May 23, 1899. She moved to Michigan with her husband, Alfred Talley, in 1935 for his job at a Ford plant. He died in 1988. She worked in a laundromat, washing and ironing. In 1963, the couple had the house built, and she has lived there ever since.
Yes, sweet baby. Yeah, he loves his grandma.
Times have changed over the course of a lifetime that began at the tail end of the 19th century. Pictures of Martin Luther King Jr., John F. Kennedy and Robert Kennedy hang on a wall in the house. Talley's daughter, Holloway, said her mother would not have predicted the election of President Barack Obama.
It's amazing. I never had no thoughts about nothing like this. And then she's got a chance to be here to see a black president and all that. That's history. She had no idea about that, neither did I.
Talley now uses a walker and mostly stays at home or visits family members' homes. She remains active in the New Jerusalem Missionary Baptist Church in Inkster, where a special front row seat is reserved for her. She also looks forward to an annual fishing trip.
Yeah, she bowled up until she was 104, and she quit bowling.
Talley said she is tired of all the questions she hears from the news in media. The family plans to take Talley out to dinner on her 116th birthday and indulge in a shared sweet tooth with birthday cake. Well, Trukai Sports is coming up next. Hunter's unchanged lineup for round 8 of the Entrust Super Cup. I'll be back with all the details plus many more.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Michael Marum has named an unchanged lineup for the Hunters this weekend as they face third-placed Burleigh Bears in Round 8 of the Entrust Super Cup. Coming off a narrow victory against the Mackay Cutters in Kokopo, Marum is confident this side will take on the challenge. Toughening up on both defence and attack will be the main aim for this weekend. A win will boost the Hunters, who are currently sitting 8th on the ladder.
The SP PNG Hunters will head into